Our team, our community. This is Condors Town, and this is another Energy Condors connection. Now, here's Erik Fox and Ryan Holt.
There are sometimes we want to do this, and sometimes we don't. Welcome to your Energy Condors connection. My name is Erik Fox. Getting the energy back inside me as a little deflated from the last week, but you know what? Things happen as they happen, and that's pretty much all we can do. The other side of the split screen is my brother from another mother. His name is Ryan Holt from the Bakers of Condors. How you doing, my friend?
I'm good. It's 75 degrees outside and the sun's shining.
Yeah, that's part of being in Cali, dude. The Baker birds get to enjoy the sunshine.
This is true.
Yesterday, I was actually laying in a hammock in our yard, which I'm like,
you have a hammock?
Something you don't get to do.
I don't know if I'm a hammock guy.
I usually am not, but the weather yesterday,
is there?
It's a little weird getting in because I have two dogs that like to do their little scramble thing. So you try not to do the cartoonish flip around, because when they jump around, the hammock decides to utilize its physics. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not trusting of the hammock, I don't think.
Oh, there you go. Well, this has now turned into hammock talk, which is probably a little better than some of the talk we want to have today, but we're going to do it. This is your season wrap-up, so this will be the final episode of the Energy Condors Connection for the season, unfortunately. But before we do that, let's talk about the parent organization, which is doing not too bad. Playoff series with the LA Kings. They're leading 3-1 tomorrow. I'm sorry. They could wrap it up at home. How's that feeling?
Fully expect them to. They're the better team. They've played better, and I think it wraps up tomorrow. I don't see any reason why not. I saw them on Friday live when they completely obliterated the Kings. Then you knew that the Kings would have a pushback on Sunday. They did, and they needed their goaltender to be very good, and he was, and Stuart Skinner. And I think, if you talk to people, Skinner's always the question mark in terms of, can he be a Stanley Cup goaltender? Was anybody asking that about Adin Hill last year? And he won the Stanley Cup. So, and Stuart Skinner is far better than Adin Hill. So, I think this Oilers team is very complete. I think the defensive core in front of him is very complete. And yes, there were, whatever it was, 33 shots or 34 shots, but a lot of those were perimeter. He did a good job managing his rebounds, and at the end of the day, it's a 1-0 win, and you have to win games like that, right? If you're going to win the Stanley Cup. And I don't think the Kings vastly outplayed the Oilers. I know the shots look different. I think it was just a different style of game. And the Oilers took advantage of their power play. Their special teams have, killed the Kings here in round one. I don't expect anything different tomorrow. And come Thursday, I expect the Oilers to wake up in round two.
Well, it's going to be interesting to watch that. Obviously, unfortunately, we won't be talking about it because we're coming to the end of this aspect. And we got to talk about the hammock time, I guess, as we head into the Bakersfield Condor season wrap-up. Round one versus Ontario. It's kind of weirdly fitting that Edmonton played LA, and then we got Ontario in the mix-up. Unfortunately, not the way we wanted to go. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, Ontario, I think, had played the best hockey of anybody since Christmas. They finished with points in 23 of their last 26 games. They were one of the best defensive teams all season long, but especially lately. And it was always going to be a difficult matchup for the Condors. And at the end of the day, it's a 1-goal game with 4 minutes left. And, we couldn't force overtime or couldn't get a late one. They did. And that's how the season ended. But I don't think the team has anything they, kind of hold their heads down about, because, you look at it. Does Drake Ujula make a difference? Does James Hamlin make a difference up front? Absolutely. And let's face it, Dylan Holloway's in the NHL for a reason, because he was good in Bakersfield, and the staff did such a nice job of putting him in a confident situation that when he went up to Edmonton, he forced their hand and stayed. And that wasn't going to be the case necessarily when Holloway went up. It was more of a, well, let's see if he can fit into our playoff lineup. If he's not, then he's going to be in Bakersfield. And credit to him, he's fit into their lineup, and he's an everyday player for the Edmonton Oilers, and that's why we're here. At the end of the day, us not advancing far in the playoffs. I mean, have we had Cajula and Hamlin? Do we get past Ontario? Maybe. I think that's a definite question out there. I think that's a top line right there, Kajula, Hamlin, and Holloway, and not having those three is definitely a detriment to the Condors. But at the end of the day, Holloway's in the NHL for a reason, and he's contributing for an Oilers club that, let's face it, if they get through round one, I think they're getting to the conference finals fairly easily, and they're going to have a crack at the Stanley Cup. So, is it sad or whatever that the Condors are out in round one? Sure. But at the end of the day, you get a guy in Holloway that's going to contribute. And I wouldn't be surprised if you see Philip Broberg at some point contribute in this playoff run as well, too. And you look at the game, the other night for Edmonton, Bouchard scores a game winner. McLeod blocked about 5 shots and took a couple of hits. Desharnais was out there with 2 minutes left protecting a 1-0 lead, and Skinner shutting out the Kings. And all of those guys were here the last 3-4 years. So I don't think you can call it it's a tough break. Certainly, I think getting Ontario, Tucson and Colorado are better matchups, and would have been the better of the. They both lost in round one, and I think the Condors beat both of those teams. I see Ontario honestly going on and probably winning the division, I think, here and getting to the conference final.
Let's go talk about that because, as part of the AHL, we are a farm system. I mean, our whole point and our whole purpose is to prepare players to be in the big leagues. So is there something to be said that maybe LA did not need to pull from their farm system as much as Edmonton may have had to?
Maybe. But at the end of the day, the goal is to win a Stanley Cup. The goal isn't to win a Calder Cup. And, as tough as that is to say, it's just factually true. The Oilers are in this to win Stanley Cups, and the Condors are in it to have one successful season on and off the ice, which we did. The playoffs are a bonus. The playoffs are extra. And did we have a team that could get out of the first round? Absolutely. I think Ontario, and we're talking 2 of the top 8 teams here in the league meeting in round one. So, it's kind of, there are teams that are going to get to the third round that didn't finish as well as the Condors did this season. And that's just the way the playoffs are kind of structured. 6 of the top 8 teams in the league are in the Pacific Division. 2 of them played each other in round one. What more do you want? So, but I think at the end of the day, the fruits of our labor here in Bakersfield are felt in Edmonton. And that's with Holloway, that's with McLeod, that's with Broberg, that's with Desharnais, that's with Bouchard, Skinner, Pickard. The list goes on and on up there. That's where the fruits come from. And as disappointing as it is to not win a Calder Cup, at the end of the day, the Stanley Cup is the ultimate goal. And if you had to pick one out of the 2 to win, that's the one. And the Oilers are right in the mix for it.
Lord Stanley would be happy with your answer right there. Let's go and talk about the time ahead. So let's get the tea leaves out. Let's get the crystal ball. Let's get the Ryan getting a wizard cap on, because I know how much you love Harry Potter. So let's get in that realm. Let's talk about the off season, because that's where we're heading right now. So what kind of motions are you seeing possibility in our off season ahead?
Yeah, I think it's first and foremost, I think the focus is on Edmonton, right? And as long as they go, the offseason really doesn't hit for us, I don't think. Having the Oilers in conversations and having the Oilers go as far as they can only helps us here in Bakersfield as well too, and players that fans in Bakersfield have grown accustomed to seeing the last couple of years. So I think that's first and foremost. And then second, yes, will there be some players moving on? For sure. I mean, Brad Malone, his career coming to an end, with the loss against Ontario. But I think a lot of the nucleus will be back because there aren't many draft picks coming in. In fact, there's no forward draft picks, and there might be one defensive draft pick coming in. So I think at the end of the day, some work's going to have to be done, but that work comes in late June, early July, when free agents start getting signed and things like that. So will there be some pieces that need to be added? Sure. But, I think you're confident in the defensive core, which, I think every defenseman that played in the playoffs, maybe except for Nima Leinen, are back next season. So 7 or 8 out of your defensemen that played this season, and then at least one of your goaltenders, and Jack Campbell's under contract for another 3 years. So
Right.
What happens there, I don't know. But I mean, Pickard will probably be re-signed, and Skinner's obviously back in the fold, and so Rodrigo will be here as well too. So I feel pretty confident in a lot of the key pieces still being here in Bakersfield.
Just going to talk about next season in a different way, like on the whole for the whole league. What are you kind of like feeling like it's going to happen with some other teams in which maybe we're a little stronger this year that might be weaker next year, or teams that were weak this year that are going to be stronger next year?
Yeah. I'd anticipate San Diego being better. They've had
Can't be worse.
3 or 4 years. Yeah, they've had like 3 or 4 years of draft picks now. So I'm going to assume that they get out of the bottom 3 going into next year. I don't know where Henderson's heading, just in terms of their overall organization. And, Vegas has been winning, so that's a positive. But, they've stripped the cupboard there in Vegas pretty good over the last couple of years. And, I don't know what they have left there. So we'll see what they do. They're going to have to re-sign or change all their veterans basically going into the offseason. And who knows what happens with Tucson or whatever they are next year. And
Right.
All that's changed.
You think that's going to move, or you feel they're going to be there?
I don't know, to be honest with you. I mean, it's a weird situation, I think, for everybody involved. And, we'll see what happens.
Are they going to be the St. Georgies?
If they go to Park City, that'd be nice. I'd like a trip to Park City. I've never been.
The Provo, some other P word. I don't know.
Not Provo. Don't go to Ogden too. So yeah, we'll see.
The
what
Ogden
happens.
Ogres. I'm calling it now. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's definitely too early to tell. But the last year, I think there was 5 out of the 10 teams made a coaching change. So I'm anticipating maybe that happening. Marco Sturm's name's been kicked around for some of the NHL jobs, as has basically everybody. But we'll see what happens over the next couple of weeks. But I think once the NHL playoffs die down, I think that's when things start to pick up. But until the NHL playoffs die down, it's basically still the season for a lot of us.
Well, I appreciate it always. And unfortunately, we're coming to the tail end of our broadcast for the season, which, we've every single week, Ryan, I really appreciate like you stepping up. And, sometimes I put you in the hot seat where I make you like go, why are you doing this? Because I'm going to have to answer to my bosses after the broadcast. But I always appreciate your candor, your honesty, your bluntness, and your ability to just like to deal the things I throw at you half the time. So thank you so much. I appreciate you, my friend.
Appreciate you. And yeah, we'll be in touch. And if we have breaking news during the summer, we'll be sure to hop on.
We'll absolutely be here. And let's go personal here for a little bit. What are you doing in the summer?
Golfing.
Where's your links? Where's your links local? Or are you going out?
Wherever will get me on. I don't care what 18 it is, as long as it's 18.
All right. So any golf people that are listening right now, contact Ryan. I have his contact info. I'll get it to you. So
sure,
Ryan, we'll get to you on the links
UFC
as much as
times,
the summer.
I'm available. Yep, absolutely.
Ryan Holt is his name. He is the voice of the Bakersfield Condors. You hear him on the commercials. You also hear him on your broadcast, and you hear him every single week as the entire season has gone on. Here with the Energy Condors Connection, I definitely, on a personal level, appreciate you, like everything you do, because I know it's a lot of hard work on the back end that not even half the people get to see what you do. So thank you so much for everything you do, my friend.
Thank you. Appreciate you. We'll catch up soon.
All right. Well, if you got any breaking news over the off season, we'll definitely have it here on the Energy Condor Connection. Otherwise, we will catch you next season. As every single week, we are your digital connection to all things Condors Town right here with Energy 95.3 and your Bakersfield Condors. Ryan, give me that salute one more time. The little floop. We'll do it together. 1, 2, 3. See you then.